No, so what I wanted to talk about, and I know you've heard me in the whole filming and talking and venting process. I know you're up to date with it as well. People have heard. I have made a video. People on my channel have heard me voice my opinion on this subject, on this topic. Let's talk about The Last of Us 2. Let's talk about everything that's been going on with that game because, wow, what in the fuck, dude? It's out. It's out, and it's been in people's hands. There's reviews everywhere. You got critic ratings, user ratings.
I see commercials for it at the gym all the time.
Commercials. Sony's pushing it hard, especially with everything. Yeah, they're going to be pushing this hard. So what I want to know is your opinion based on what you've seen, and then I want to know your opinion at being a young, empowering woman in the 21st century. I want to know what you think of the game and kind of what we are talking about. I would like to know your opinion as of just the other perspective as a female. So,
start with me.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to see what you think.
So my experience with the game has been I've watched PewDiePie and a couple other, and his name is Professor Broman on Twitch. Play the game because he streams Destiny.
Yeah. Yep.
That's probably how you heard of him. But my experience with that has been I watched them play it for the same segment of the game for a couple minutes, and I think that the segments that I watched were actually in the beginning of the game, and they were pushing that lesbian romance hard as hell in the beginning. Ellie is her name, right?
This is the main character.
Yes.
Yeah, Ellie.
And throughout the beginning, she's kind of really weird about the other chick that she's on patrol with.
Isn't that Dina?
Dina?
Yeah.
Could be Dina.
Yeah.
Flirting, throwing out stuff out there constantly while they're on patrol with each other. So they're pushing that hard, which I have no problem with.
This chick, right?
Yes.
Yes. Dina?
She's the one that ends up killing Joel, right?
No.
Or is that someone else?
Oh, spoilers, by the way, everybody. I know.
Sorry.
Don't worry. What I might actually start doing with these two is clipping them, like JRE, and uploading clips. So I might actually clip this segment so we can talk about it. Because I wanted to talk about it now that it's post-release. I think that's super interesting. So, so spoilers. I'll put a spoiler warning on the clip before any of this anyways.
Yeah.
No, Abby is the one that ends up killing Joel.
Right.
Yes.
So they're pushing that really hard, which is okay. Obviously, there's no problem with that. But it just seemed very slow in the beginning. And all of the commentary and dialogue was really based around that. And Ellie being weird about her flirtation. And it just seemed really boring, so I clicked out. So,
yeah. You haven't done any other research or looked into anything other than that?
I haven't watched anything else.
Did you play the first game?
I played the first game. Finished it.
So give me your thoughts on the first game.
First game was amazing, and it's not my type of game. I'm usually into the action games, COD, Rocket League, stuff like that. But I mean, it being zombie central, which I don't know if this game is zombie central, but it very much didn't seem that way. And from the pictures that you pull up and scenes that you see, I mean, a lot of it just seems very it seems very character.
Oh, heavy character
interplay and development heavy, which isn't what the first game really gave to me. The character is developed around experiencing zombies, around losing their family members, around the things that were going on, the whole zombie apocalypse type thing. And when you play these games, you're playing it for this, the story of the action that's going on. You're not playing one of those click, anime games where you're like a dating game or something, where you're trying to give the best responses to people so you can develop relationships with them or something like that. That's not at all what the first game was about. You play these people surviving through the zombie apocalypse, and you care about the characters because you see what they're going through. Well, when you come to the second game and it's really, there's a zombie apocalypse or whatever, but hey, check out this relationship that's really not welcomed in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay if they warm up to each other or whatever, but it just seemed like it wasn't, and especially knowing what I knew, before, with the leaks and everything going out, where they're trying to take it in a new direction and they're trying.
Because I didn't care. I read all the leaks. I saw everything.
Yeah, when they're trying to take it in a new direction by challenging social constructs and things like that. That's not what this game is about. And if you want to make a game like that, go ahead and make a game like that. But that's when when you're making a sequel to honestly one of the best exclusives for PlayStation, and you take it in a completely different direction, there's no logic behind it. You know, it's your own personal thing projecting onto the game.
So here's where I'll go, and then I'll give the floor to you.
Okay.
So I'll give you kind of everything I know, and then I want you to bounce off of it. So, all right, I have watched basically all of PewDiePie's live stream of the game, and I've watched multiple other people. So I feel very confident in having the opinion that I do, in the sense that I personally have not played the game like alone on the TV or something like that, but I have watched this entire game. I've watched the gameplay. I've watched the cutscene story. I've seen how this happens. I've seen everything about this game. It would be like me watching you play it. It would literally be like that, okay?
Yeah.
So this is what happened. The first game is all about Joel and Ellie, okay? It's all about this guy and his relationship with Ellie. She's like 10 or 11 in the first game.
Yeah.
She's like really young. And then in this
really
game,
young.
she's 17.
Okay.
So she's like becoming a woman. It's like 7
quite
years
a
later.
jump.
It's quite a jump in time, all right? Now, the way the first game ends, there did not need to be a second game. The first game was very much a confined story about Joel and Ellie, and about how Joel is tasked to basically carry Ellie safely to this place where they can meet this group of people called the Fireflies. And at the very end of the game, they start growing and developing this entire relationship. Also, I should say that The Last of Us starts with Joel watching his daughter get shot in the head by the army. Like literally like watches his daughter get murdered in front of him. So you watch this guy basically find love and a daughter again in Ellie, this person who doesn't have parents.
He feels like a responsibility to watch over.
And
her.
he doesn't at first, but the game is about them establishing that relationship and becoming a very father-daughter dynamic.
And it's caused by the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, very interesting. So at the end of the game, you find out that Ellie is, I don't know if this is at the end, but you find out Ellie is immune. She's immune to the zombies.
Yeah.
That's why he was tasked with basically delivering her to these people. And without Ellie knowing, they tell Joel, listen, we believe that we can make a cure with Ellie, but it will kill her in doing so.
Wow.
So Joel has to make a decision at the end of the first game to either hold on to this second chance at life that he's found and this daughter that he cares so deeply for that's not really his daughter, or sacrificing her to potentially have a cure.
What a decision.
What ends up happening is he doesn't tell Ellie and he leaves and he takes her. And he doesn't go through with killing her. He can't do it.
Yeah.
And essentially that's how the game ends, is they found this relationship and this new life with each other and they go on. Second game starts. Joel eventually tells Ellie 17 years later, she's discovering that she's a powerful young lesbian woman, which is totally fine, dude. I want to say that first and foremost. If you think anybody here, or I would say the majority of people, I know that there's schmucks out there. I know that there's just idiot people that actually do care. But majority, if you think anybody actually gives a fuck about the sexuality of our video game characters or anything, bro, I don't care if she was a pansexual pancake. I do not care. What we all want is a good story.
Yeah.
Dude, her love life is so neither here nor there. I actually think it's really cool that she's lesbian, and you get some really cool, like, what's it called? When you're being,
Spit it out.
I can't think of it.
Perspective?
No, not perspective, but when they're being shown, it's like a representation. There we go.
Okay.
I think it's very cool to have some sort of LGBTQ plus representation at the forefront of a massively popular video game. Okay, that's totally cool. I ship Ellie and Dina. That's great. May they live a long, happy, love-filled life together.
But zombies are more.
But there is also a zombie apocalypse going on. Okay,
it's way more interesting in the moment.
But also, so you have this whole kind of relationship, in my opinion, that is kind of being. Not naturally, it's just unnaturally being forced. It doesn't really come across that well, but that's actually a very minor grievance I have. Like I said, if anything, I actually like them, and I like that dynamic about it. My issue is this. Joel confesses to Ellie that what he did in the first game. Ellie basically swears him off and hates him and tells him to get the fuck away from her. Then...
Because he saved her?
Because
she would rather have been sacrificed.
She would have rather been sacrificed for the cure, and she's very mad at Joel for holding it against her the whole time. I think that's very interesting, and I think that starts a really cool dynamic and a really cool story, okay? Ellie and Joel aren't talking. Joel ends up somehow or another finding himself with this new group of people. This character, Joel, is very internal, very hidden, very kept inside.
It's like that classic masculine trope where they just
where he doesn't trust anyone.
Inside.
He's very aggressive in the sense of like he protects what he loves and he would fuck shit up. So somehow they write this character to go into a room full of people he's never met before, complete strangers, in the middle of the apocalypse where everyone's killing everybody. He walks in the room and is like, "Hey, I'm Joel." And like that's not how Joel would be. Mm-hmm. Basically ends up this girl, Abby.
Hi, I'm Joel.
Hi, I'm Paul. So this girl is the second main character introduced in The Last of Us 2.
Okay.
And yes, that is a girl who is built like a man with broad shoulders and is buffer than me. And yes, there's a sex scene with Abby too, like, which I saw that and it got really weird.
Do they show?
Yes, that's a cut. I mean, they don't show, but you do see some shit. Anyways, this girl ends up killing Joel with a golf club. Ellie breaks into the room trying to stop it, sees that Joel is beaten within an inch of his life. And Abby goes, basically, "You can't rush this," and kills Joel with a golf club in front of Ellie. And Ellie goes, "You're gonna fucking die. I'm going to kill you." Okay, now, in my opinion, we have a really cool kind of John Wick revenge story set up where she was mad at Joel for the truth coming out, but then Joel gets killed in an inch of his life, which also, I believe Joel needed to die. I believe that the torch needed to be passed to Ellie. Ellie was always going to be the main character. I think that's the way the game was always going, and I like that Ellie became the main character, okay? The problem everyone has is how they killed Joel. It does not make any sense. And it's quite literally like this.
Does it seem like they killed Joel just for the sake of killing him because he's a man?
It seemed like I think they killed Joel for shock value. It really made no sense in the way that it happened and who he killed. There was no weight behind who killed him. And then the entire game is this quest where Ellie and Dina are basically on their way to find Abby and the group of people that she's with and kill them to revenge Joel. Uh-huh. It's building. And then all of a sudden, like halfway through the game, it takes this hard left turn. And the game makes you play for hours as Abby. You have to play as Abby. This person that you've never met before, who you don't give a fuck about, that killed a character that you love, that was the main character of the first game, that you're now playing as. And I understand on paper, it was probably in an attempt to peel layers back and make you understand the other side and maybe empathize with the villain.
Is the story linear, or do you play as Abby before she kills Joel or something like that?
Exactly like that. So with Ellie's story is actually insanely linear. Point A to point B, and you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Abby's entire story is played through flashbacks and through current time. You end up playing as Abby even before the breakout, the apocalypse, before it all happens. And then you end up playing with her in different moments in time.
I feel like you should have been doing that before she meets Joel.
I believe the same thing.
So you care, like when she kills Joel, you care about both of the characters.
Yeah. Yes. And so, again, let me say this. Gameplay, graphics, game design, level design, everything. This game is a fucking masterpiece when it comes to everything like that. They outdid themselves. But when it comes to the story, which is the exact reason why people love The Last of Us and why people play games like this from Naughty Dog, this is probably one of the, if not the worst video game story I have ever seen. I have ever seen. So hold on, I'm about to finish. I'm sorry. At the very end, they take it as far that at the end of the game, you're Abby trying to kill Ellie. You're fighting Ellie at the end of the game. So it does. But how fucking bizarre. How do you expect somebody that would be like Uncharted and you're fighting the villain the whole time and at the end you play as the villain trying to kill Nathan Drake? What the fuck?
That doesn't even make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And okay. And then not only that, where you're literally the most hated person in the game trying to kill the most beloved character in the game, all of a sudden at the very, very end, the last part of the game, you're Ellie again. And you I'm jumping through a lot of different stuff for time's sake, but
That's okay.
you find Ellie's searching, and she finds Abby and all the people in her group. They've all been basically beat to shit from another group, and they've been hung on these poles with their hair cut and everything. This is what this image looks like. So there's Abby standing over Joel's dead body with a golf club, and then there's Abby at the very end, all beat up and like basically crucified almost on this pole. You're Ellie. Ellie walks up, takes out her knife, and you're like, fuck yes. Like, Ellie is about to do this. She cuts the bitch down, bro.
What?
She cuts the bitch off the pole, doesn't say or do anything. Abby goes over and gets the guy that she cares about, picks him up, and starts walking towards a boat in, like, the dock. Ellie is following them, and Ellie's going to let them go. And then she has a flashback with Joel when they were sitting on the porch and they're having this conversation about forgiveness. But you don't know that till the very end. Then she walks over to Abby and grabs her hair and throws her in the water. And she goes, fight me. And Abby's like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And she's like, you don't have a choice. And then she puts the knife to the neck of the dude that Abby cares about and is like, fight me. And Abby's like, all right, let's do this. It's a pretty gruesome fight. You play as Ellie fighting Abby.
Yeah.
Ellie gets some of her fingers cut off. You start fighting, punching, killing, all this. Then Ellie is literally just about to, again, hey, anybody joining, we're talking about Last of Us 2 spoilers in here because now that the game's out and reviews are out, it's very interesting and I wanted to talk about it with multiple perspectives. Just a full warning, Last of Us 2 spoilers if you don't want to hear it. But anyways, Ellie is drowning Abby within an inch of her life in the water, and they are both beyond fucked up. And then it goes back to that flashback of her and Joel, and then you find out that the conversation they were having moments prior in that other flashback led up to Joel kind of giving Ellie a lesson about forgiveness. And so they're trying to wrap the game up, and that the game is not a story about revenge, it's actually a story about forgiveness. And then Ellie lets her up out of the water and falls down and goes, just go, take him. And then the boat drives off into the fog. And then the game ends with Ellie going back to, I think it's Joel's house.
Yeah.
Or the house where she lived in with Joel. Picks up the guitar that Joel tried to teach her how to play. She can't play it because she's missing fingers from the fight with Abby. She sets the guitar down and then just walks out of the room. And then it goes directed by Neil Druckmann. And that's the fucking game. That's the whole game. That's the whole game.
That's bullshit.
So
you mean to tell me
Yeah.
you play 2 whole games, loving Joel, loving Ellie, they go through all this stuff, some bitch shows up, kills Joel, she just gets to walk off scot-free.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Nah, dude.
Because
there's forgiveness and then there's just being weak.
Yeah.
And when it comes to video games and shit, like, we want to see some fucking strength in that character. Like, someone kills your father figure in your life, there's forgiveness and there's just being Joel would be like, fuck, kill her.
Yeah, see there's the scene with her fingers missing and she's like walking up to the house and shit.
Not bleeding.
Yeah, well, I mean, because at that point they it's like further in time. I think it says like a year later or something, or like a few months later, I forget. But so essentially someone compared it to this.
That's
It's like
bullshit,
it's like
dude.
watching John Wick and watching them kill his dog, and then he gets to the guy who kills it, and then the whole movie goes about as normal.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he gets to the guy that kills his dog, he goes,
Nah.
just go.
Yeah.
It's like how
literally went
unsatisfying.
on this whole
How do you drop the
escapade
ball
to
that
find
hard?
this
Yeah.
person, and you could have just like sliced them open, done like some seppuku samurai shit where you slice her guts open or something.
She was
the
already hung up there to die.
The badass
Yeah.
fight, I think, was necessary, because if it was just like, Abby was completely helpless and she just stabbed her and like directed by Neil Druckmann,
Yeah.
that'd be stupid.
Yeah.
The fight was necessary, but she needed to fucking drown her.
Bro, like
No,
it,
100%.
On God, and she needed to kill that dude that she was with
And
as well.
I understand, believe me, a story
That
about
doesn't make any
forgiveness, I
sense.
think, is much more powerful than a story about revenge.
Mhm.
Although, who doesn't love a good fucking revenge
But
story?
it's a
That's
video
what I mean.
game. It's
But-
not a Disney Channel movie.
But
I
also,
know, there
you
doesn't
can
need to be a
have,
lesson.
you can, dude. It's a God of War on PS4 in 2018. That game is, I would argue, one of the best video games ever made. And that entire game has a lesson and a story about a father and a son, and so many things that Kratos is teaching Atreus in that
Right.
game.
Yeah.
And it's so beautifully written. And it's so well done. Watching Kratos actually kind of, you watch him try to put his hand on his son so many times, and then he like puts his hand back, because in his mind, he wasn't raised like that. He was raised as a Spartan warrior.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to raise his son weak. He doesn't want his son to be emotional, because emotion is weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally, there's scenes in the game where his son talks about how much he misses his mom, and you watch Kratos reach out his hand because he wants to just touch his boy and love him, and then he holds it on there, and then he'll grab his wife's ashes and just looks down and is like, I'm trying. And there's moments in that game where like he literally, Kratos, this god of war, breaks down and starts talking to his deceased wife and is like, you were the strong one.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what to do. And I'm so lost. There were moments in that game where I got choked up, and it's about the god of war and like Vikings and Odin and shit. Like, and then you get this.
But if someone killed his son, you better fucking believe that that person would die.
There was a moment where someone had a knife to his son's neck, and Kratos went into Spartan rage mode and beat that dude's face in until he was decapitated with his bare fist.
That's what I'm talking about, bro, Ellie. Come on,
That's a way
Ellie.
better payoff.
And like, there's moments in that game, bro. So basically, here's my thing with The Last of Us. Critics love it.
She can get her cheeks clapped and kill Joel and just
get off
live a happy life.
Like, and then
how much are zombies a thing in this game?
Yeah, that's a good question.
From what I have seen, and from what I've seen people talk about, oh my god, what is this, bro? From what I have seen people talk about and stuff, now it's just officially a clip. The zombies are definitely prevalent, and I've heard that the zombie fights are really well, and I've seen a few zombie fights in corridors and stuff, and it looks awesome. But this story is definitely far more human-based. It's far more human conflict.
You know, that's the reason why I stopped watching
The Walking Dead. Exactly,
because it became more about the people, and in the beginning, it was like the people were just struggling to survive.
Yeah,
and I get that they found like a society or whatever, and that can kind of develop the story. But I mean, zombies just stopped becoming a thing. It was like, we're in a zombie world, like that's out there, but we're still just, we just care about our people stuff. I'm just like, we live that every day.
Yeah.
The governor and, all the people, it's just like, yeah, we watch that stuff all the time. We want zombies. That's why we're watching the show.
Yeah. And so
that's why we're playing The Last of Us.
I completely agree with you. But also, it was the story, Joel and Ellie and their relationship, I think is what really drove the heart of the first game. Now, going full circle, I want to know your opinion based on the things that I said, but I also want to know, coming from someone who's really kind of freshly breaking into the video game world and kind of playing Smash Bros. And you're looking at Zeldas and you're playing Pokemon and Animal Crossing, and you're slowly but surely getting into more kind of serious games. How do you feel as a girl in gaming, in kind of female representation and like LGBT plus representation? Like, how do you feel as the game and just female representation in games? Like, how important is that to you?
I mean, I don't know. It's really cool in The Last of Us 2 that they have like the main character is a female. Like, I think that's really cool because you don't see that very often. I've personally never played any video games where there's been a female lead, so like that would be cool for me. But like if I was playing The Last of Us 2 for the first time, being Ellie, that's her name, the main character, being Ellie and then going through the entire story, not to have that payoff, that would ruin it for me 110%. And it's like, how long was it between the first game and the second game? Like
7 years. I think 7 years.
You wait 7 years for that payoff just so it never happens. 100% understand why everyone's so pissed off about it.
Yeah.
If I can get a little intellectual here. So
Here we go.
I recently took an international relations political science class, and that sounds way fancier than it actually is. But we're basically taught the different schools of thought on how international relations are approached, and how you can think about them, and how different leaders of countries and different nations basically take their approach to how they interact with other nations. And basically, a big feminist critique coming from like organizations and stuff is basically that if women were allowed in politics, then there would be less war, there would be less conflict, women are more agreeable and they want to achieve more peace. And actually it was a female professor who taught that class, and she was like, I consider myself a feminist, and I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, I think the opposite.
I think that females can be just as aggressive, just as, warmongering. They can have the same traits as a dude, which I completely agree with. And I like that she considered that perspective. Her being a feminist and everything. You have to. Oh, that's horrible. Her being a feminist and having that perspective and thinking like, hey, no, we're not just these peaceful creatures that just agree with you or we keel over. Yeah. And I don't think that way at all either. And so when you have female characters in games, I love that there are female characters in games because there are female people in life, and everyone.
Exactly.
Freaking duh. Exactly. You don't only come across male people in life. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So
also, can we talk about like the badass
let me get to my point. My point being is that you have this who was the chick who was in like a big story lead in The Last of Us, who was calling out all the people on Twitter complaining about the leaks?
Oh, Anika Sarkeesian or whatever.
Right.
Anita. I'm probably butchering it.
Whatever her name is. My thing is, okay, it's great that you want to take this feminist approach and include women in your game, but you're painting them in a way where they look weak. The only way that Ellie could solve her problem was to just forgive. She had that badass fight or whatever, but the only way that you could conclude that was to just be like, oh no, whatever, I'm not going to get revenge. I think Ellie is completely and fully capable of beating the shit out of her and killing her in revenge.
Bro, Ellie's on John Wick mode the whole game.
She basically killed her dad. Yeah. She's completely emotionally motivated and has the ability to kill this woman.
Ellie is a badass. And I think that, like, a total badass.
Your guys' skin looks nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
I think that you're kind of painting Ellie a little bit weak, even though she did go through a lot. She had the badass fight, got her fingers cut off. I think what you're basically showing is that she didn't have the complete resolve to bring a resolution to that. And the clear resolution was to kill the person who killed her dad by extension, not her blood father, but, someone who was playing her father for a whole game and a half, and that kind of, I don't want to say that it bothers me, but when you really have a big aim of trying to include women and strong women in a game, that's what any person would do. You're emotionally motivated to do that. This person killed your father, so that would be my kind of critique.
Okay, but what if there's a twist? What if instead of Abby being a female, what if it was a male? What if it was a male who killed Joel? Do you think the story would be different?
That's interesting.
Do you think she would end up killing him in the end?
Now that I think, when you think about it, killing a male character, it has like less. Unless you really care about them, is like less valuable than killing a female character in the game. Because I feel like female characters don't get killed a lot.
They made Abby very manly, like very, very manly.
Still not a man though.
And, no, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so to me, it was like, I don't know if maybe it was a moment of Ellie seeing herself in Abby, and that might have been part of it. Because I'm like, did they half commit to maybe Abby being a dude and then switched it? Like about maybe being a different, maybe it was like Bobby,
possible.
But
that's just exactly what I thought of when I.
My main issue with all of this, bringing it full circle, is that it bothers you. Don't lie. That's what Thomas said. It bothers you. Don't lie. So
it bothers me that they painted Ellie as weak. I feel like
my main issue with all this is that it has nothing, not an ounce, to do with females, LGBT plus representation. Nothing like that, dude. I don't give a fuck what color, what race, sexual orientation. I don't care about any of that, dude. I want a fulfilling and meaningful follow-up to one of the greatest video games ever made. And this game was not that. And to me, it was the story. Yeah. This game was superb everywhere else. And then you get a story where that 7 years of waiting that fans did for this sequel did not pay off. Yeah. And literally they looked in the eyes of fans and like just spit.
Yeah.
And it was like,
spit on you.
Spit on you. And like, it was just, there's so many moments where I'm like, I see what you were going for, and I see what you were trying to do. And you can tell that people poured their hearts into making this game. People tried to, and probably on paper and in the meetings, felt like they were making one of the best games ever. Oh my God. There we go. People are going to be like, bro, this Thomas guy is TripMac's #1 fan.
I know.
But, like, ultimately, again, and I'll leave it at that. I don't care about anything else in the game other than the fact that the story suffered and the story was subpar. It was not fulfilling, and I just felt like there was very corny and very what's the word called where it's like we've seen that before. It was like a very like a trope, but like we just saw very
overplayed,
very corny, very I don't know, cliche. There we go. Okay. It was very cliche in a lot of moments. And it just was not fulfilling. I was not a fan of the story in any way at all.
Thomas, thank you.
It was...
Wait till you see this podcast we cooking up. You can be my #1 fan over there.
Oh, God, man. Because I know that'll be the selling factor. So anyways, yeah,
he comes on your channel just to shit on you.
So anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up us talking about The Last of Us. And The Last of Us 2, very interesting story, all the way from 7 years of waiting to the leaks and people's initial outrage.
I do think that I want to watch the game in its entirety.
I think you should.
I'm kind of turned off just by everything that went on before it.
Yeah.
But in order for me to really fully understand everything, maybe there'll be some redeeming.
You should watch the cutscene movie.
Redeeming qualities of it. They have a cutscene movie.
So what they'll do with games is you don't watch the gameplay, but somebody will take all the cutscenes of the game
and put them
all together.
That's
and
cool.
It's called the cutscene movie. Nice. And that's what I'll do is I watch a lot of gameplay and then I'll watch a cutscene movie. I do that very rarely on games that I don't want to play all the way through. But so you should do that, and that would give you a really good understanding.
Yeah.
Because as far as the gameplay and the level design, fantastic. But what we're really focusing on is the story. So if you watch the cutscene movie,
and that's what the game is really all about. Is,
yeah.
Following the story. Obviously, we like zombies and stuff.
I just don't think it was fulfilling. I don't think it was necessary. To be honest, I read a comment from someone on Reddit, and I kind of agreed. They said that they felt that The Last of Us 2 should have actually been an entirely different story and in different setting and different characters, because The Last of Us Part 1 was so beautifully well enclosed in its own bubble that The Last of Us Part 2 could have been an entirely different game in an entirely different place, and they could have started a whole new story from the scratch. And even one of my favorite reviewers said that he felt like he was playing the third installment of a game, that there was a Last of Us 2 that happened somewhere in the middle there, and then this game was the third.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
But obviously, I mean, as an anime fan...
I feel like Chris is agreeing with everything.
As an anime fan, time skips can be really satisfying, because a lot of times you'll watch these characters really, really young, and you watch them be really weak and fighting, and they're not really developed or anything like that. Obviously, you have to watch them in the beginning.
Naruto?
Well, also Hunter x Hunter is what I'm watching right now.
Okay.
And a lot of the characters are really young, and they're naive in a lot of ways, and you have to see them learn those lessons and become more mature. But the time skips are really valuable because they can come back as kind of like almost like a new version of themselves. Like they're better at fighting, and they're better at, they've learned some lessons in between, and you can kind of skip a lot of the nitty gritty stuff, and you can get to like the satisfying part where they become a powerful character. So I like the time skip. But it just kind of seems like, where does it go from here?
Yeah. And if anything, the part 2 ends much more openly.
Hunter x Hunter, hell yeah.
Than Hunter x Hunter, yes. Yes, man.
Yes.
I'm also agreeing because I actually agree with their points, Thomas.
There you go.
She's not just an agreeable.
Believe me, if she didn't agree,
girl.
She would let us know.
Yeah.
She would let us know. And I agree, man. I just think, they really dropped the ball. I just think that. I think that as far as game mechanics, 10 out of 10. Game story, God,
okay,
you
how
guys
about
could have
this?
done better.
Is there going to be a Last of Us 3? I know the game just dropped. I know the game just dropped, but okay. So in the end, is Dina still in the picture?
From what I remember,
because if she's still in the picture, I mean, they have pretty much anything to work off of now.
Don't give me sass, girl.
Sass, class, and a whole lot of ass.
Dina's one of the luckiest characters in the game as she manages to make it alive. And while she's alive in the game, her whereabouts are not exactly known at the end of the game.
Yeah, maybe not so important at the end, because it really is about Ellie and Abby.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they just show her like walking back into the house, where Joel lived or whatever, that kind of doesn't leave you on any kind of cliffhanger to like, oh, wait for the could there be a Last of Us 3?
I think Dina's alive. But more importantly, as far as the story goes, Abby is still alive.
Yes,
Abby is still alive. And
you know what I would hate? You know what I would absolutely hate?
A third.
If you bring back a third Last of Us and Ellie and Abby are actually friends, I will hate you, Neil Druckmann. You, Neil Cuckman. I would hate you with every ounce of my being.
Looking good, Panini.
Panini, I love you.
Hey,
I would absolutely hate that.
No, I know, man.
I would despise that, honestly.
I hope they're friends now.
Why? Just to be contrarian? Just to be annoying?
They probably are, dude. They probably are. But anyways, all right, I'm gonna switch it up here.